Hi, welcome to our webinar for Enhancing Learning for Diverse Learners. The talking points of today's webinar are: what is learning for diverse learners? What are the teaching strategies for diverse learners? And how can the challenges of teaching student diversity be minimized? Before presenting to you the talking point number 1, let us first understand who are the diverse learners. Who are diverse learners? Diverse learners are learners who are open to all learning styles and have open mindsets to worldwide learning. Diverse learners include students from racially, ethnically, culturally, and linguistically diverse families and communities of lower socioeconomic status. This helps us understand learning for diverse learners, which is our first talking point. What is learning for diverse learners? Learning for diverse learners is influenced through socioeconomic status by basic needs and experiences, parental involvement, and attitudes and values. Socioeconomic status plays a large role in learning for diverse learners. Socioeconomic status is affected by one's income, occupation, and level of education. It is important for teachers not to stereotype students. Just because a student's socioeconomic status is low or high does not predict the capabilities of the students. Perhaps the most important aspect a teacher can consider is an open mind. Teachers must be willing to study and learn about different cultures and be able to notice biases among students. Teachers must be willing to break away from the traditional way of teaching and incorporate ethnic groups in learning. Teachers must be prepared to deal with issues that arise and be willing to learn about different cultures to help the individual students in ways that give them a sense of belonging and importance in our diverse society. Teachers should be aware of issues that arise in social, economic status and can develop a classroom that promotes resilience. The question is, how can you promote resilience in your classroom? I would like to share with you 4 key points to promote resilience in the classroom. 1. High and uncompromising academic standards. Emphasize mastery of content and do not accept passive attendance and mere completion of assignments. 2. Strong personal bonds between teachers and students. Be the adults who refuse to let students fail. Instead, find ways to help out students such that students feel connected to the schools. 3. High structure. Your classes are orderly and highly structured. Explain clearly the rules and consistently enforce rules and procedures. And 4. Participation in after-school activities. Activities such as clubs and athletics give your students additional chances to bond with school and interact with caring adults. Letting your students know your expectations and taking the time to connect with your students can motivate students to learn more. Taking extra time to learn about your students' culture will enrich your teaching and enhance the learning of diverse learners. The next question that comes to mind is about the teaching strategies for diverse learners. This moves us to the second talking point of this webinar. What are the teaching strategies for diverse learners? There are varied teaching strategies for diverse student learners, but I choose 8 strategies to share with you today with the hope that you can pick up 1 or 2 and apply it in your own context. Strategy 1. Set high standards and demonstrate high expectations. Teachers who express high expectations convey the belief that their students have the ability to succeed in demanding activities. Such teachers avoid repetitive rote learning or memorization. Instead, they involve students in problem-solving activities. How do you involve or engage students in the class? Ask open-ended questions, requiring students to use their judgment and form opinions. Choose activities where students must use analytic skills, evaluate, and make connections. Expect students to do a simple research, complete their homework, and manage their time effectively. Strategy 2. Show students you care. Show students you care by getting to know their individual needs and strengths and sharing their concerns, hopes, and dreams. Students tend to want to participate and do their best when a teacher is nurturing and caring. Nell Nadings, feminist, educationalist, and philosopher, advocates that when society around us concentrates on materialistic messages, we should care more genuinely for our children and teach them to care. Of course, we want academic achievement for our students, but we will not achieve even that unless our children believe they themselves are cared for and learn to care for others. Strategy 3. Understand students' home culture. Understand students' home cultures to better comprehend their behavior in and out of the classroom. Teachers must understand and respect the many different ways of being a parent and expressing concern about the education of one's children. Seek information about students' home cultures by asking them to interview their parents about their lives as children, the stories their parents remember, significant places, family values, and so on. The results of these interviews can inform the teacher about the rich diversity in his or her classroom. The interviews also can be made into booklets and subsequently reading materials for the entire class to share. Strategy 4. Tap into students' backgrounds to enhance learning. Students' self-esteem and motivation are enhanced when teachers elicit their experiences in classroom discussions and validate what they have to say. Kids become engaged in lessons when they are brought into the initial dialogue by being asked what they know about the topic and what they want to know more. If the students' own questions are written down and used to form a guide for inquiry into the topic, students are far more likely to be interested to participate than if the questions simply come out of a text. The teacher also obtains a better understanding of students' previous knowledge about a subject, a pre-assessment as it were, that can guide the planning of the subsequent lesson. Strategy 5. Choose culturally relevant curriculum and instructional materials. Choose culturally relevant curriculum and instructional materials that recognize, incorporate, and reflect students' heritage and the contributions of various ethnic groups. Students' self-esteem is strengthened when they see and read about the contributions made by their own racial or ethnic groups to the history and culture. Whenever possible, teachers adapt the curriculum to focus lessons on topics that are meaningful to students. This kind of focus allows students to practice language, thinking, reading, and writing skills in real, meaningful, and interactive situations. Students also come to realize that teachers value and appreciate each culture and language. Strategy 6. Use cooperative learning strategies. One of the most difficult issues faced by teachers in multi-ethnic classrooms is that students, particularly those from ethnic groups suffering social discrimination, tend to cluster in cliques based on ethnicity. To break down this defensive withdrawal into ethnic groups, teachers need to give students time to get to know each other and to see to it that they share common ground, common problems, and common feelings. One way to break down artificial barriers between students is to encourage them to participate in a small group over an extended period of time, collaborating on a shared activity with a shared goal that can only be achieved by working together. Strategy 7. Integrate arts in the curriculum. Nothing makes learning come alive more than engaging students in arts activities that encourage dialogue on issues that are important to them. Providing opportunities for students to express themselves through the visual and performing arts enables them to learn about and develop their talents and multiple intelligences. Not only verbal and mathematical intelligences, but also visual, spatial, musical, interpersonal, and intrapersonal intelligences. Young children benefit from being encouraged to make sense of their world and their relationships through drawing and painting graphic images. Encouraging students to use their imaginations and taking time to elicit their interpretations of visual arts through open-ended questions in a classroom setting is valuable in itself. These conversations also enable students to understand as we listen to other classmates the multitude of interpretations that are possible when viewing the same work of art. And strategy 8, incorporate multiple forms of assessment. The Coalition for Authentic Reform in Education suggests not to rely on a single standardized test for high-stakes decisions, such as promotion to the next grade. Authentic assessment of students' work, such as student exhibitions, portfolios, products, and performance tasks, is preferable. Multiple forms of assessment of academic performance and progress on schoolwork throughout the year should be a part of teaching strategies. Those are the 8 teaching strategies for diverse student learners that I wanted to share with you today. I wish you gain some thoughts, ideas, and insights from those teaching strategies that you can recontextualize in your own school. Now we move to the last talking point of this webinar. How can the challenges of teaching student diversity be minimized? I would like to share with you 3 key ideas to minimize challenges in teaching diverse student learners. 1. Varying instruction. Instruction can be varied within the class session and from session to session through using the senses, the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic senses. Let us review the 3 learning senses or learning modes first. Auditory. Auditory learners best learn through listening and or conversation. Visual. Visual learners learn best through reading, writing, and or visual aids. Kinesthetic. Kinesthetic learners learn best while moving on or touching a stimulus related to the lesson. So teacher can vary instruction using these learning modes. For example, teacher can give an explanation, auditory mode, show slides depicting the subject or draw a diagram of what was explained, visual mode. And then have students use the information by asking them to solve a problem, give an example of how to apply the concepts explained, summarize the explanation, or physically manipulate equipment. That is a kinesthetic mode. Another way is the use of inductive and deductive teaching methods. In the deductive approach, students are given information and then asked to perform a task or answer questions based on the information given. In the inductive approach, sometimes called the discovery approach, students are asked to perform a task and draw a diagram, solve a problem, or answer a question before they are given information about the task. 2. Student participation. Student diversity can also be addressed by increasing the degree of student participation. Students are more attentive when they are asked to actively participate in the class. Students can be asked to participate in a discussion by responding to structured and focused discussion questions, while the teachers as leaders and facilitators. Students can also be asked to respond to questions from their own experiences within the framework of the target lesson. Further variety can be done through debate and issue, role-playing situations, or engage in group activities. such as producing a chart that compares and contrasts two or more objects, involving students directly with the material to be learned not only varies instruction, but also enhance learning and retention of information. And 3, student learning styles. It is important to be aware of diverse student learning styles. Learning styles refer to how students learn and study. Researchers have identified 2 extreme types of learning styles that have been called 1, deep or global approach, and 2, surface or atomistic approach. The global approach is a holistic style of learning in which the student engages the main points of the lesson into a structural whole. In terms of study habits, students who tend to use the global approach spend a longer time studying, find the material more interesting, and feel that studying is gratifying. The atomistic approach is when students concentrate on parts of the lesson, often without interrelating or integrating the information. Students who use the atomistic approach spend a great deal of time on rote memorization of facts and may find studying tedious, unrewarding, and boring. Although both styles are important in learning, the predominant use of one style over another can be detrimental to the learning process. Successful learning depends on students' ability to combine the best of both learning styles. The global approach learner must learn to pay attention to details, and the atomistic approach learner needs to view the details in relation to the longer or larger picture. Again, the 3 key points to minimize the challenges in teaching diverse learners are varying instruction, student participation, and student learning styles. We have just finished the presentation of the key points of Webinar 4, Enhancing Learning for Diverse Learners. As a wrap-up, today we'll learn the 6 key points to consider to enhance learning for diverse student learners. We also learned the 8 teaching strategies to teach diverse student learners. And finally, the 3 key ideas we consider to minimize the challenges in teaching diverse student learners. I wish you have learned something from Webinar 4 on how to enhance learning for diverse learners and apply it in your own context. This ends our 4th webinar, Enhancing Learning for Diverse Learners of our Webinar Series 2019. Thank you.